So we are finally in a position to start talking about how Kant defines duty. And the first definition Kant offers, the first way that Kant offers that we can know what our duties are, is this formula of universal law. So Kant thinks there's actually three of these in the groundwork. Formula universal law, formula humanity, formula of the kingdom of ends. We're only going to talk about the first two. Limited time, you can't do everything you might want to do. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Kant. Maybe liking Kant would be the wrong way to describe them. But I have quite a lot of respect for Kant. If they just let me loose, we would talk a whole lot more about Kant. But I do realize there's a lot of things we have to do, so I'll rope some of that in, right? So we're not going to get to the formula of the kingdom of ends. We will talk about formula of universal law and formula of humanity. So Kant thinks these formulations of the categorical imperative both define what duty is, but we can also use them in individual cases to figure out what our duties are. So what's the formula of universal law and how does it work? Well, so the first thing to understand about the formula of universal law is that we human beings have reasons for our actions. When you do something, you have a reason for doing it. Now, you might not explicitly think of that reason, right? Probably after I record this lecture, I'm going to go down, make myself some tea, right? And I'm not going to think about, but these are my reasons for making tea as I go downstairs and make myself some tea, right? But if you ask me, I could tell you, I'm like, well, as you guys might hear as I'm recording this, my throat is a little scratchy. Tea will help that. I'm a little tired because, well, I have toddlers and I'm always tired. Tea will perk me up a little bit. And, beyond that, tea is delicious, so I'm going to go have some tea. These are my reasons for making tea after I record this lecture. If I ask you why you're taking this class, you could give me reasons, right? If I ask you, maybe after you listen to this lecture, you're going to drive to the grocery store or something, or maybe you'll watch something on TV. If I ask you why, you could give me reasons, right? We need milk, or, well, I'm tired and I need to relax. Watching the show helps me relax and it's funny. That's why I'm doing it, right? Now, Kant talks about maxims. And one thing about Kant, I'll keep saying this because it's true, Kant is a terrible writer, right? No denying that. And one of the ways that Kant is a terrible writer is that Kant loves his jargon, right? Part of Kant's jargon is this talk about maxims. And all a maxim is a very general reason or principle. You might talk about it as your policy on something, right? My general policy on X or Y, right? I will generally, if I see a homeless person, try to give them a few dollars. My general policy, I'd say my maxim is when you see a homeless person, give them some money, right? That is very general principle for what I do, right? You can think of other maxims, other principles. So what Kant says is if you want to know whether something is morally acceptable, first thing you want to do is ask yourself what your maxim is. What is the very general reason or policy for this thing you are thinking about doing? Second question you ask yourself is whether you could choose, in other words, that everyone does it. Everyone will follow this maxim in similar circumstances. Everybody in similar cases will always do what I am thinking about doing. If not, if you could not choose, if you could not will that everyone always follow this principle, then the action is wrong. You have a duty not to do it. Let me give you guys an example. This is Kant's example, but I think it probably bears talking through it a little more carefully, right? Kant says, when I need money and I can get it, imagine that you are in just a bad financial way and you need money and you have a very gullible, trusting, nice friend, right? And you say to yourself, well, it's like, well, I could just borrow $500 from this guy. He's trusting, and he's not going to ask for a receipt or anything. And even if he did, he's not going to sue me. He's too nice to do that. I'll just borrow $500 from him and then just completely disappear, write him off as a friend, but my financial problems are solved, right? Now, Kant's point is not, is it okay to do this, right? I mean, obviously it's not, right? Kant's point here is, let's see how this works in this case. And you think to yourself, well, what if everybody tried to do this? What if everybody always lied, made false promises to other people when they were in need of money? What if everybody always tried to do this? What would happen? What would the world be like? Well, one thing that would happen is that nobody, even if they were very nice and very gullible, if everybody who was in financial difficulty always lied to get money, nobody would ever lend anybody any money, or more likely, most people wouldn't lend money, but when people did lend money, they would make darn sure you had to pay them back, right? There would be receipts like crazy, do everything to make sure you have to pay them back. In a world where everybody always lied to get money, or everybody always tried to lie to get money, your friend either wouldn't loan you money, or even if he is a very nice person, he would make sure you had to pay him back. So, the fact that you could maybe lie to your friend to get the money you need depends on the fact that not everybody does it. If everybody did it, or even if everybody tried to do it, you could not get money, your action would not be successful. So Kant says you could not will it as a universal law, because the fact that you might be able to do it successfully depends on the fact that not everyone does try to do this. Okay, so that's the basic idea behind the formula universal law. We will get more deeply into the formula universal law in the next lecture, see how it deals with some other cases. Before you fire up the next lecture, though, do take a minute, try to think of some other cases that might fail the formula of universal law in a pretty similar way.